I know your business has a mission, has strategies, has policies, but does it have a heart? Does it have a kind, charitable, generous side? If it doesn't, maybe that's because you don't have it. But if you have it, your business should have it too. 1 Peter 3:8 says, all of you, be of one mind, be compassionate toward one another. Find out why compassion is number 5 on our Super 7 list of ethical standards. Today on Doing Small Better with Layne Allen Fields. Come on to the front of the class and let's talk about it. Welcome to Doing Small Better with Layne Allen Fields. I'm your host, Layne Allen Fields, and I help leaders of faith-based organizations and faith-based small businesses with revenues of $2 million or less improve their ethics, improve their effectiveness, and ultimately improve their earnings through coaching and consulting. Today, I want to share with you why I believe compassion, which is number 5 on our list of the Super 7 ethical standards, why I believe compassion is a really important element to every faith-based business and organization. The reason why is because I believe that compassion is the part of your organization that really reflects the heart of God. It really reflects the character of Christ. And as the leader of this faith-based movement, we're supposed to have the heart of God and to display and to reflect the character of Christ. Now, there's a difference between passion and compassion, because passion is the fuel that drives your dream, that drives your vision, drives your goals. It's the fuel that allows you or causes you to get up another day after you've worked all night, after you've grown weary. Passion is the fuel that allows you to endure the hardships and keep going. When everybody thinks you should quit, you somehow find up to muster the energy to keep going because it's something that you're passionate about. Passion is inward. It's an inward focus. It's an inward energy. It's an inward concept, because you can't look outward to find your passion on anything. It's got to be something that's burning on the inside of you. Compassion, on the other hand, is outward. Compassion allows you to see the suffering of others, to have empathy and feeling for it, and to be moved to the point where you do something about it, where you take measures to relieve the suffering of others. I'm reminded in the Gospel of Matthew, 2 places, Matthew chapter 9 and Matthew chapter 14. In Matthew chapter 9, the Bible says that Jesus was gone, to the different villages and preaching and teaching in the synagogues, but he came across a multitude of people, and the Bible says that he was moved with compassion because they were weary and they were like sheep without shepherds. And that's when he told the disciples, hey, the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Pray that the Lord may send workers to work the harvest, right? But it was all driven by the fact that he was moved with compassion. In the same book, I believe it's the 14th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. Again, Jesus and his disciples were together, operating in ministry, and it had gotten late and everybody was tired, and the disciples wanted to send everybody away. But when Jesus saw the multitude, the Bible says again that he was moved with compassion. And when the disciples said, hey, it's late, we're tired, send them folks home, Jesus said, nah, don't send them home. You need to do something for them. You need to give them something to eat. And that's when they summoned the little boy with his lunch and the 5 loaves of bread and the 2 fish. And we know the miracle, how it fed 5,000 men plus women and children. And they had enough for everybody to have a doggy bag to take it home. But that was all driven by the fact that Jesus was moved with compassion. Now, I understand that you've got your mission, you've got your assignment, you've got your vision, you've come up with all your strategies and everything you need in place, and you've got the passion to carry it out. But to do that in the absence of compassion is just making money. God bless you. Make as much money as you can, but also have some compassion while you do it. And that compassion is both inside your organization and outside of your organization. For example, if passion is a demonstration of the type of love that Christ had for humanity and for other people, then it should also be the same for us. And nobody wants to be a part of an organization or work for somebody who doesn't care. You've got to have some kind of a heart. I don't want to be involved with heartless people. I would never want to work for a heartless person. So therefore, I try not to be a heartless person or a heartless leader. So within the organization, how do you treat your people? Is it all cut and dry? Here's the bottom line. Do your job, get it done. Or do you have compassion for the fact that everybody has something that they're dealing with that may affect them outside of work, that they may actually bring to work, that might be a distraction, that might be some pain. Maybe they've had a death in the family. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe they have a child that's misbehaving. Maybe they have a health crisis or even a financial crisis. You just never know. It could be caring for an aging parent. Do you have, as the leader, any compassion for what your people are going through? And if so, what does that look like? Drop a note in the comments on what you think compassion as a leader looks like when you know that someone within your organization is going through something. Do you give them a day off? Do you call them outside of work and say, hey, I realize that something was a little different about you today. If we got a minute, I'd love to talk about it. Or perhaps pull them aside during the workday and say, hey, what's going on? You good? You're moving a little slow today. I see, you seem a little distracted about something. What's happening? Come on, talk to me. Just something to demonstrate the human interest in the people within your organization. I believe that for large companies that have great benefits programs, in my opinion, the whole PTO benefit, corporate benefit, what is it, paid time off or whatever it is, I believe that that's a corporation's compassionate side, because you can take time off, still receive your pay, and you don't really have to explain to your boss or anybody else why you need to take that time off. Maybe you need a mental health day. Maybe you're just dealing with some burnout. Maybe you got to go attend an event for your child, or perhaps you might need to go to the school and take some corrective measures with your child. But whatever it looks like, in big corporations, there is that ability for the employees to have some sort of time off to deal with the issues of their personal life. In smaller organizations like ours, we might have to function a little differently for employees who have life's issues that they're trying to manage. And keep in mind, even as leaders, we're trying to manage our own life issues as well. So there needs to be equal compassion for us, but as the leaders, we should definitely exercise some sort of compassion for the people within our organization. What happens when an employee has a death in the family? Do you, as the leader, make a home visit? Do you attend the funeral? One thing that amazes me, I have been going to the same barber for nearly 28, 29 years. And there are two things that stick out about Chris. Chris, first of all, never misses a Christmas without a Christmas card. In all the years I've been going to him, he has not missed once. I've been in business for almost that long. I don't think I've ever sent anybody a Christmas card. The other thing is, Chris will show up at the funeral of a loved one of his clients. How do I know? He showed up at my wife's funeral. He showed up at her father's funeral. He showed up at the funeral of other loved ones. I've known other clients that said, man, I was at, so-and-so's funeral and Chris showed up. That's because he's moved with compassion. That's the heart in his business. He's the best barber on the planet, as you can see. But beyond the clippers and the scissors, there's a compassionate side of his business. So I encourage you today, take a look at your heart and then ask yourself, does my business reflect my heart? Is my heart hard, cold, or is it compassionate like Christ? The other thing is, what I find about Christ as the example, if you remember in the Gospel of John, chapter number 1, when Jesus was born, it said that we beheld his glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. I try to exercise that in my leadership. I even tried to exercise that as a parent. I made it my business to make sure that not only was I dispensing discipline when it was required to dispense discipline, but I also made sure that I hugged and kissed on my kids and let them know that Daddy loves them as often as I could. That it didn't matter what they did, what happened in their lives, what decisions they make, whether I like it or not, the one thing that will never change is that Daddy will always be proud of you and Daddy will always love you. But in business, I think that same grace and truth, that same firmness and compassion, that same passion weighed in the balance of compassion, I think that that's necessary. Because are we just drivers when it comes to the people who are inside of our organization? Or do we love them in some capacity? Do we demonstrate love in some capacity? That's the compassionate side. But then compassion also extends outside of our business, even to our clients. I'll give you an example. I was at the home of a senior couple. We had laid beautiful wood floors in their entire house. And as I was leaving one of the appointments, we walked out through the garage, and the husband, who was up in age, when he went down the stairs were so steep, and the handrail went in the same direction as the stairs. And I noticed that as he went down the stairs, he was head forward. Immediately, I said, whoa, that's not good. What if he falls down the steps? What if he bumps his head? What if he's sustained serious injury? I was moved with compassion that from my profit, I bought material and I supplied labor, and we rebuilt his staircase and his handrail so that when he comes out of the stairs, he can walk in an upright position and reduce the risk of falling, injuring himself, or possibly even dying, only because I was moved with compassion. What have you done in your business to give something away, something charitable, something kind, something heart-driven, something compassionate? What have you done? Drop a note in the comments to let me know an example of what you've done in your business that demonstrates the fact that your business has a heart because you have a heart, that your business can be touched and moved by someone else's hardship, someone else's dilemma, to the point where not just that you just see it and move on and go on about your business, but the fact that you see it and you're moved with enough compassion that you do something about it to make another person's situation better above and beyond what you were paid to do. But then also remember, and we're going to get to the citizenship part of the Super 7, but remember, we're also a part of a larger community. Does your business or organization do charitable works or do any volunteer time for nonprofits or any other organizations, whether it's a church or a fraternity or sorority or a homeless shelter or a mission or a youth group or something for people with disabilities or domestic violence or breast cancer or the children's hospital? Does your organization get their hands dirty without requiring any pay just because you're compassionate, because you were moved with compassion? And so I could go on, but I think I've driven home the point that we shouldn't just have passion, but we should also be moved with compassion. We shouldn't just have profits and mission and money, but we should also have good works and charitable deeds and acts of kindness. Why? Because if we're faith-based, then love, charity, kindness, those are all fundamental teachings of our faith. And so how can we do small better? Let me tell you how. We can do small better by being compassionate.